Our veteran today is being sponsored by Representative Gary Banz. Representative Banz, you're recognized to introduce the Veteran of the Week.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, this is going to be a little bit different type of exercise today. We are going to honor as Veterans of the Week those who work among us, our sergeants and our member veterans. So let's welcome our sergeant veterans to the House chamber. We've got one more down here. Right down here. Sergeants, you may have a seat. Thank you. From the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 1, it says, "There is a right time for everything." Today's the right time for us to call time out from recognizing veterans from across the state and take a moment to shine the spotlight on those who work among us. First, let me take you down a path of memory lane. It's important that we rediscover how this Oklahoma House tradition was started and express thanks to those who were instrumental in getting it established. If we're not careful, we'll become too casual and begin to take for granted the message this tradition is intended to honor. It was Representative Fred Perry of Tulsa who took the lead in establishing the Pledge of Allegiance be given at the beginning of each week. More recently, by rule change, we now do the pledge on a daily basis. Beginning with the 51st legislature in 2007, I chaired the House Veterans Military Affairs Committee. It was Representative John Kerry of Durant and Representative John Wright of Broken Arrow who advanced the idea of expanding the pledge to include an emphasis on veterans that we now know as Veteran of the Week. Speaker Lance Cargill agreed to our request and helped make the presentation a part of our House rules. At the beginning of each week for the past 10 years, we have presented one veteran to represent all veterans in Oklahoma. They are recognized for their service, and they are asked to lead the members and the guests in the gallery in the pledge. Today, we want to honor a group of our sergeants and our House members who are veterans. Laura Hillenbrand, in her book entitled Unbroken, describes the World War II experience of Torrance, California native Louis Zamprini. On a search and rescue mission, his aircraft crashed into the Pacific Ocean. Surviving the crash and 47 days and more than 2,000 miles adrift in the ocean, his raft found the Marshall Islands. There he was captured by the Japanese and was held for more than 2 years as a prisoner of war. The war ended just days before he was scheduled for execution. That was Louis Zamprini's story. Today we have 26 Oklahoma honored veteran heroes seated among us. They each have a story. Their experience may not be quite as dramatic or as extreme as Louis', but it is important that we acknowledge each of them and honor their service and sacrifice. That is what we want to do today. How could it happen? They were simply the best. Years of dedicated training destroyed in a split second. It was painful to watch. You remember Beijing, the 2008 Summer Olympics, the United States 4x100 meter men's relay team. A dropped baton in the third exchange zone and hopes of another gold medal were gone. You see, the most critical part of a relay race is in the exchange of the baton. Speed of individual team members is important, but the gold goes to the team that masters the exchange. And it's not easy. The exchange zone is small and the lane is narrow. The exchange occurs at top speed and without breaking stride. Today, we would like to transform the House chamber into one giant exchange zone. Our baton is represented by the values and traditions embodied in our core documents. You recognize these ideas found in the Declaration of Independence, our Constitution, and the Bill of Rights. Are we in danger of dropping the baton? For a nation to remain strong and endure, we must successfully transfer from one generation to the next the values, the traditions, and the principles upon which our way of life is based. They must be defended against tyrants and embraced by each new generation. Our honorees today have done their part. Young people, that's our pages seated on either side of the front of the House chamber. You are the next generation to receive the baton. The ones extending the baton to you are veterans who served in World War II, the Korean War, Vietnam War, Desert Storm, and the global war on terror. You read in the history books about Pearl Harbor, the Battle of the Bulge, the Battle of Midway, Iwo Jima, and D-Day. The World War II veterans you honor were there. You read about the Korean War veterans, the Battle of Incheon, Osan, Old Baldy, Pork Chop Hill, the Pusan Perimeter, and the Choson Reservoir. The Korean veterans you honor were there. You read about the Vietnam War veterans who find it impossible to overcome thoughts of Saigon, Ho Chi Minh Trail, the Tet Offensive, and the Battle of Quezon Son, Agent Orange, and surviving guerrilla warfare in a tropical jungle. Our member and sergeant honorees were there. Rugged mountain terrain and desolate stretches of desert serve as a stage for our honorees who engaged in what we now know as the global war on terror. In war, the enemy must be defeated. Those who see combat are called upon to do things no human being ought to have to see or do. Barbaric behavior, tyrants, and despotic rule must always be challenged and defeated. As Americans, we serve as citizen soldiers. We defend the American dream. We respond to the call of our nation and protect its interests. We serve, and then we come home to build families, communities, and a nation. Young people, these are your heroes. You don't see them wearing a jersey. They don't make posters of them for you to hang on your bedroom wall. They have worn the uniform of our nation, and they deserve our respect. Our nation expects you to take the baton and honor them by pledging to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and our way of life. Veterans, you will exchange today with young people who will serve us this week as pages. They represent the next generation to defend our nation. Some of them may even choose to follow in your footsteps. Your family, these young people and the next generation of our nation need to hear your story. You need to know that it's never too late to pass the baton. We'll not take time to introduce all of the House member veterans, but it is important that we introduce our 8 sergeants, their branch of service, and their years of service. As I introduce each of them, one of our House members, veterans, will present them with a flag. And I would like our members that I've asked to make those presentations to step forward and simply line up in front of our honored guests today. And after I've introduced each of them, then as a group, you will collectively present each of them a flag that has flown over the state capitol. We will begin with, and as I call your name, if you would please stand. Bob Bentley, Oklahoma Air National Guard, 26 years of service. Yeah, let's do them all together at one time. I wasn't clear on my instructions. Joe Bullock, Oklahoma Army National Guard and Air National Guard, 37 years of service. Harvey Weathers, Oklahoma Army National Guard, 6 years of service. Ray Houston, United States Army Reserve, 44th EVAC Hospital. And I didn't get your number of years. 6 years, I'm sorry. Number 5, Greg Reynolds, United States Air Force and Oklahoma Air National Guard, 26 years. Frank Corey, Oklahoma Army National Guard, 35 years. Number 7, Philip Starks, United States Air Force, 26 years. And number 8, George Duncan, United States Army, 95th Army Reserve, World War II. And was it 18 years? How many years did you have in service, George? Do you remember? I didn't get that written down as well. Veterans, go ahead and make the presentation. Receive this flag that's flown over the state capitol from our House members. Yeah, go back to your seat. I will have our House member veterans go back to their seat, and Representative Pfeiffer, I need to get you a copy. Come up here and get a copy of the Constitution, and I would ask all of our other members to be seated, and our House member veterans remain standing. Representative Pfeiffer, do you want to come get this? And Representative Canada, I didn't get one to you before we started. I think all of the House members who are in attendance have been given a copy. Veterans, you've been given a pocket-sized copy of the Constitution. The young people, pages, if you will, please move out and pair up with one of our veteran members who is standing and one of these guys up front.
Gary.
We'd like all the pages to move into the chambers and stand beside one of our honored veterans. We're going to have one giant exchange here. Would all the veterans that are standing allow the pages to pin the pin on your lapel? And pages, then receive from the veteran a copy of the Constitution that those veterans took the oath of office to preserve, protect, and defend. Make your exchange. All right, did everybody get pinned and everybody get a copy of the Constitution? Mr. Speaker, would you please recognize House Parliamentarian Joel Kinsel, a current member of the 137th Air National Guard, to lead the members and our guests in the gallery in our Pledge of Allegiance.
Would members and guests of the gallery please rise? Mr. Joel Kinsel leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.